Welcome here. I'm here to help you save some money on your lighting for your next film project. Let's get right into the video. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to my channel because we do photography and filmmaking right over here. If this is your first time over here, I'm PHOTOSHOOT and I'm a filmmaker photographer, and what I do over here is to help you elevate your status in the space of photography and filmmaking. But today we're going to talk about filmmaking, so if something that you're interested in, let me help you if you are going to shoot your next project, especially film or a movie to be precise. Let me help you with this light setup that I love so much so that you save a lot of money on your next project. Let's get right into it. So I've done a lot of spec ads, a lot of films in my portfolio, yes, and I can tell you for a fact that I've tried a myriad of lighting configurations, lighting setups, light equipment, and a whole lot more when it comes to lighting. So I'm here to show you what I normally do during such a situation where I have a simple setup that I need to still make it look very cinematic. And that word is very controversial, I know. But this is a way to make your films look that good and have that cinematic touch. So you're basically going to need a couple of things, and these are the equipment. Of course, you need your camera, and most importantly, what we are here for, light. Whatever light you're going to be using, you need to make sure that if you're trying to replicate what I'm going to teach you, you need to have a softbox. And with the softbox, the size that you're going to choose is going to be dependent on your scene. With my situation, you notice that I am in a small space, a living room, where I am not really filming so much of the space at a go. I'm just having my camera situated on a tripod, and yes, in some cases I have it on a gimbal like you're seeing right now, and that's just to give me some motion in my shot so that they don't look boring. You can have a lot of ways I can position your light in any space such as this, but what I normally do every time that I have this setup in mind, is to make sure that I have a C-stand to keep my light up above, replicating what normally you would see as lighting or a light source that's coming from a space like that. Definitely, you count lights from the ceiling, and in a living room you need to have some lights coming from above that looks exactly like lights coming from above. And why am I saying this? You need to ensure that your light is mounted in such a way that it is over the top of your subject like you're seeing right now. So this is what I normally do. I need to ensure that my background still looks as interesting as it should be. So even though I'm going to be using just one light, yes, just one light, to create the scene, there's a light there in the background, the one that you see, called a practical light, which is a light that I just keep in my shot. It doesn't distract, it just adds on to the texture of the background to make it look more interesting. Because in as much as you have your subject in mind focused, your background should always not be left unattended to. So I made sure that I had a practical light set or stand in my case right there in the background, and it lights up the space. Even though it's visible, it doesn't distract the scene at all. Now you notice that there's a rim light to the left side of my subject. That's my male subject right there. You notice that the light is just slit and it's coming from outside. That's the natural light. I deliberately positioned him there to ensure that the light touches that side to carve him out of the background, because already I have a light situated there in the background. And you realize that I needed to ensure that with my decisions, the colors are also going to be in contrast. So a very notable piece of information that I want you to keep under your belt is that you need to add contrast. It could be your lighting, it could be the colors that you find present in the costumes that your subjects may wear. It is all going to affect how cinematic your scene is going to be. So realize that my scene has this hue of warmth. My female talent is wearing something orange, and it's going to ensure that the background has some sort of cohesive flow to it. To her left hand side is a bag that complements what exactly she's wearing. So everything was pre-planned to ensure that the scene, even though most of the shots are still or my subjects are immobile, for some reason they are seated in the seat, it doesn't still look boring. So back to the lighting, where the magic happens. The light is coming from above and it's ensuring that my subjects are actually and properly lit, like you have them lit right under a ceiling light, if for instance they were to be sitting right under that. And because I'm not going to show you in the scene my ceiling, or for the most part the entire ceiling, you wouldn't know exactly where the light is coming from, or what light it is. As long as I can light up my subject and make them look, pleasing enough, the light is dispersed and is not too much in contrast. It's soft and it wraps around their faces all the way down. And that's thanks to the softbox that's coming from above, that's softening the light source that I have in my scene. On the other side, you notice that they are talking to a particular subject. And with this particular subject, I only needed to ensure that the light was maintained. Yes, I maintained the light because, of course, they are sitting in a living room that's of course the same space, and so if there's going to be a light source, I need to make sure that it is consistent. And that's the beautiful thing about such a situation in a scene, that you can simply light and still make it look very interesting. Consistent lighting. Because the light is hanging from a C-stand shooting through a softbox, it's still going to be soft. And I needed to lower it a little bit more so that I could add some kind of character to my subject, because I needed her to be concealed. So you notice that it's just a part of her face right above her nose that is showing up just below her eyes. And concealing her face, I needed to add contrast to add on to the eerie look that I wanted to give my subject. And that's basically how I lit this particular scene. You notice that's very simple. I needed just one key light and a practical light back there in the background where my two subjects are sitting right there in the background, to add some contrast, to add some character, to add some warmth, to differentiate the light that's coming from the window or from the doorway that's pouring into the space. And one thing that I forgot to mention is the need to control your light, especially the light that you can't normally control, which is natural light. If you want to control it in a space such as this, you can use curtains, because light is going to definitely pour through windows in a living room such as this. So I needed to close the blinds. If you, in your case, you will be using blinds, close the blinds, but in my case I'm using curtains. So I decided to close down the curtains to ensure that there's contrast back there in the right, and with the only notable natural light source coming from the left hand side is to ensure that my subject is rimmed properly and in contrast in hue, so that you can see the difference between him, which is the light that's rimming him, as well as the practical light back then background. And basically that was how I shot this scene to make it look cinematic, with just a very simple setup that saved me a whole lot of money. And so that's how we do it over here on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the post notification button. I'm gonna catch you next time for the next video. Have a wonderful day. See ya.